What up, YouTube fam? It's your boy Big Guy Journey, and today this video is dedicated to those young men, those young boys that's stuck either in the projects, in jail, and just in a bad place all around. And you feel like there's no hope. You feel like you can't get out. I want to tell you that there is. It is. You can get out. You can turn your life around. And the guy that I want to share with you today, you've probably heard of him, Wall Street Trapper. But I wanted to look closely at something that he said in the video because it makes absolute sense. And when you can understand, when you see it, that it's been done for somebody else, you could believe it for yourself. And this gentleman has done that. I have done that. Even though our stories are somewhat different, many of us have similar stories. We come from similar backgrounds. We come from poverty. We come from lack. We come from hurt. We come from bad health. We come from all of these different areas. But you can change it around. And so I want to display something for you real quick that Wall Street Trapper said on a video. Check it out.
Door, put a Mac 11 on my face, and he was like, "Yo, like give it here." So me, I'm like, "Man, I don't got nothing." He was like, "You playing me?" So he cocked it back, and I guess she don't want to see me get killed, because in my mind, I'm like, "Yo, I ain't gonna let you just rob me like this, because there's no mask on in the streets." It's the difference between robbing me and jacking me. Robbing me is when you still have a mask on. Jacking me is when you have no mask on, and you like, "Yo, you know who I am. Give it in blood. Come see me."
He had no mask?
Nah, that's a bold statement in the streets, right? So I'm like, "Man, I don't got nothing, bro." So she wanted to like, "Yo, give it to him, it's right here." So she tell him where it's at or whatever. And so I figure out who he is. The streets always tell you who he is. So I went to prison for shooting him 6 times.
Oh, God!
Yeah, so I went to prison for attempted murder on
So
robbery.
not in that moment, you basically find him?
Not find him. Yeah, not late. Maybe like 3 days later, 3-4 days later. So at 16, I go to prison for attempted murder on a robbery.
So understand this, at 16, he goes to prison for attempted murder and armed robbery. I don't know if you've been there. I haven't been there. I didn't go to prison for attempted murder or armed robbery, but I've been in these streets. I've been a hustler. I've been in tough situations where I've seen shots fired past me and stuff like that. And those environments many of us come from. But understand, this is at 16 years old and he went off to prison. And that's why I said, no matter where you are, you can come out of it, because of course you see him talking today. And if you know anything about him, you know where he is today. But I just want you to listen to a little bit more.
I could have got more, but my auntie at the time was a judge. And, she kind of like told him my story. Crazy thing is I met him about 3 years ago, and I told him thank you.
The judge?
Yes.
Whoa.
I told him thank you. I got presented with an award in New Orleans for being an outstanding father.
Whoa.
And I had no speech. Yeah, I had no speech. I got a picture in my phone. I'll show it to you.
That judge saved his life. That's what he did. Oftentimes we're not put in situations. We put ourselves in situations, and somehow an intervention has to happen, and it may not look the way you want it to look, but it had to happen like that way to save your life.
And he wound up passing like 2 years ago. But I got that moment because in that moment when he gave me the 10 years, he said, "I'm saving your life, young man."
By getting you off the street.
By giving you these 10 years. Because they could have given me 25, 30, again, attempted murder, armed robbery, with the dude coming to court. Doesn't matter that we was in the streets or not, right? All they know is he got shot, right? So I couldn't even say, "Yo, he robbed me out of some drugs." And I'm like, the hell?
Nah, you didn't say that.
It's not going to go for it, right? So I saw him and he was like, maybe 2020, right before the pandemic, matter of fact. And I told him, thank you, because that changed my life. But in prison, I had a fight with 2 of my homies. In prison, we fight for like 4 hours. Jeez, back to back. I'm just fighting one after another one. Like we just fighting. And I go to solitary confinement. And at this time, all these parish prisons is considered like one of the worst parish prisons in the United States of America, right? And I go to the cell and I meet this white guy. That was the turning point of my life. I get in the cell with him and I'm frustrated, like I'm kind of bust up. And he sees me and I guess he's in awe of the idea of so many black people are in this position. He says something to me. He says, man, y'all playing the wrong game.
Playing the wrong game.
And so in my mind, like I'm fresh. I'm like, man, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, bro, like don't make me whoop your ass in here right now. Like, he's like, no. He's like, listen, bro, I don't mean no harm, no disrespect. But y'all, like, why? So I guess he's like perplexed by this whole dynamic of all of these black men in here. And I'm like, man, what are you talking about, man? Like, this ain't no game. Like,
He like, you in here too.
So he said something. He said, that's the problem. Like, y'all don't even know it's a game.
Do you hear that? That's the problem. Y'all don't even know it's a game. Understand what he's saying though. My man's is like, you can't even see that it's all a game and you're playing it the wrong way. So no matter what way we slice it, when we look at the history, when we look at how we got here, how we look at how we is systematically maneuvered towards this, when you realize it's a game, when you realize these things are factual, you're obligated to start playing the game different.
And so when he told me that, I'm like it's something about when you mad and you in the moment, but like something, when it makes sense, it hits you like a ton of bricks. So I'm like, what? He's like, man, listen, man, there's a game that's being played. And you're playing a game that you can't win.
You can't win!
I just started thinking about the people who I knew that was in the streets. Everybody lost. Everybody suffered the same fate.
Everybody.
There was nobody in the street that I knew at 16 that won. Everybody I knew had either been to prison, been shot, got killed, their father. Like, everybody suffered the same fate. So my rebuttal to him is this: well, if it's such a game, you know the rules, why you in here with me? It's a good question, right? He says, I'm in here, $2.8 million embezzlement. I paid $800,000 restitution. I kept $2 million. Have you ever seen $2 million? I'm like, man, get the fuck out of here. You fucking lying. So one thing
Think about that though, because so many people play the game for pennies. Pennies. I know guys right now still standing on the block, still doing their thing, barely driving a nice car, barely got a place to lay their heads. Mainly is this to support their little habits, trick off to these women. But then there's an opposite end where people are making a lot of money and putting a lot of and getting it. But either way, I don't never see it last. And that's the point that this is the place that he came to while he was right there in prison.
Prison and in jail, you can show your paperwork. Like, you can lie all you want, but your paperwork tells me. So I said, let me see your paperwork then. So in New Orleans, I had a red band. So a red band means attempt murder, armed robbery, kidnapping, carjacking, violent offense. He has on a red and white band at the time. The red and white band means you're in federal custody. And it's crazy because in prison or in jail, like, if you get a federal band, it's like a hierarchy. It's like, you know something that we don't know, you next level, right? So he showed me his paperwork, it's right there in black and white. And immediately he got my attention. Because the red and white man makes me respect you at a different level at 16, but then when I see it in the paperwork, I had never seen $2.8 million written down nowhere. Right? So that changes my idea, like, damn. So tell me, how do I do what you do? So how do I do that? And he was like, nah, it's not even about that. So he tells me these first three things was, he said, listen, man, wealthy people do three things, man. They stop trading time for money. They make their money work for them. And they give as much value to people as they can.
I want to stop you there for a second. I know
on point is just a whole different mindset. He basically saying the way wealthy people think versus everybody else. And he practically gave him the game, and so that's why he was able to get to a place where he's at now. Oftentimes I'm talking about deciding. You may not know how to get there, but once you decide in your mind that I'm going to get there, I think things start to align because you eliminate all of the other options. I always talk about this to decide. The CIDE is the note of killing something. And so you're making a decision, the death of all of the options. That's what decide means. And so you got to get to a place where a lot of times you have to be at such a low place before you make that decision. I mean, it's different for everybody else, but I'm just going to play a little bit more because I don't want this video to be too long. Right now, we're looking at about 9 minutes.
That's so
now you
important
can't
to me.
shift. There is a shift, but there's the exposure part. So, like, just coming up in the streets, you only see the game from the lowest level.
Yeah.
And you
listen to this, man. One time, me and my cousin was driving. One of our other cousins, we were going to the city, this next door to us, and he saw a cow on the side of the back roads, and my little cousin was like, "What? That's a cow? I never saw a cow." He never had saw a cow in real life. He never had been outside of the projects that we grew up in. And that stuck with me even when we were small. I mean, I wasn't very small because I was older than him. I was at least probably 7 or 8 years older than him, but he never had saw a cow. And so what he's saying, like, you know, some people are confined to their little radius. They've never gotten out. And so when I worked for a juvenile facility, we used to take them to colleges just to plant flowers. And it would make such a difference in their lives.
look at everybody else in part admiration and part like jealousy.
Jealous, man.
Because you see it and you're like, damn, I'll never get there. Right? And so the only way that I think I can get that is through sports or hustling. That's it. That's the only, or rapping. Those are the only three options that you have. And so, you know.
So true. I did too. The hustling, getting it. Then I end up getting my own independent record label. And that was the way that I thought we was supposed to get rich. And that's the way a huge amount of little black boys, black kids, children, even men think that's their only option. But that's what we've been programmed to think.
You make a decision on which way you want to go, right? And so you look at it from like, damn. And so me, I'm at the time like, no, I can't rap. Damn sure I can't play sports. So hustling is what I got. You limit yourself, and nobody comes along and teaches you anything different.
So giving us three things again to wealthy people.
So he said, wealthy people stop trading time for money. They start making their money work for them, and they give as much value to people as they can. The caveat, I mean, we got a little deep into that. He said, the reason why you give people so much value is because if you give them so much value, they'll never leave you. They'll always be there for you. And you will never need for anything as long as you give value to people.
One of my mentors, Kevin Mack and Darnell Self, used to say, if you help enough people get what they want, you will get what you want. Many of the people here on YouTube are giving value. They're giving content. They're giving away the game, so to speak, quote unquote. And in doing that, people find value in them and they latch on to them. And because YouTube has been mechanized to be like we used to see in radio, television, and film with ads and stuff like that, they're able to get paid. They're able to get money. Any network marketing company that you've ever seen, if you sow into the people under you, they work and you get a kickback. Life is designed like that. And so the key is to finding a system that actually you can be yourself authentically and pour into people and get a return. That's one way. He did it the stock way. Trading. Latch on to somebody who knows things about stock. Latch on to people who knows about investing. There's so many different vehicles that you can attach yourself to. But the most important part about it is you have to decide. You got to make the decision in your mind. You got to make the decision, and then you got to act. Remember what I always talk about: ACT, ACT, acronym. Actions. You got to get action. Consistent with your thoughts, because it's not enough to think about it. You got to put it into play. And I wanted to leave that because, man, my brother is an inspirational, because he's totally transformed his life. And I know there's a lot of people that's stuck in that same place. I mean, he was at it with a gun in his head, and then he went and retaliated and put some bullets into somebody else. It was in prison. Really, there's no excuses for nobody else. There's no excuses. We just got to get it. And that's a part of the journey. So this is Big Guy Journey. This ain't just about weight loss. It's about mindset. It's about everything, every aspect of your life. That full circle got to be complete. All right? Take care. Take charge. God bless. Share this with somebody like this. And reply in the comment. I would like to hear what you think.